Mom, I don't want any more water. What? Yo,
You're not
bro,
my
I
mom.
have a pretty good question.
Okay.
What the? How'd you get in my?
What's an abortion?
Why do you want to know what an abortion is?
See, I was on YouTube.
Okay.
And then there's this YouTuber,
Okay.
or I don't know what he was, but this man named Ben Shapiro,
Mhm.
and he was talking about abortion.
What?
What's an abortion?
I mean, do you really want to know right now?
Just tell me what's an abortion, man.
Okay, I mean, it's kind of a controversial thing. Are you sure you want to know?
Yes, I'll sit down. while you
Okay,
speak.
alright, just let me... Alright, like, how'd you get in my house, though? Okay, anyway, that's not here. You can have some
Don't
water.
ask questions. I ask
Okay,
questions.
so, like, abortion. Hassan. Basically, abortion is, like, the termination of a human pregnancy. And it's, like, most often performed before 28 weeks of pregnancy.
Wait. How is this legal?
How's it legal? I mean, like, there's two sides to it. It's legal in some places and it's not legal in others. It kind of just depends where country you are and, like, what religion you follow and stuff like that. It really matters on that. There's two different sides to it. There's pro-choice, where women have a say on whether the abortion is undertaken or not. And there's pro-life, where abortion is legal in some countries. And the argument is that it's like killing a person, you know?
What's pro-choice?
Pro-choice? Well, I mean, like... 1 second. To sum it up, basically what people that support pro-choice say is women have the mortal right to decide what happens to their bodies, right? The right to get an abortion is kind of vital for gender equality in a sense, because the woman takes much more roles when it comes to having a child and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
They also say the right to an abortion is vital for an individual woman to achieve their full potential, right? Because, like, there's some scenarios in where an abortion may make the difference between a woman living her life and not, right? Because having a child is a big commitment, right? Do you understand?
No, I don't have commitment.
I mean, you also have to understand that, like, abortions are gonna happen either way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Banning abortions put women in risk because it's gonna force them to use illegal abortionists, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of deadly. That's a leading cause in many countries of people's deaths. You know, many people
Like
die
mine,
from this,
yeah.
right? And, like, you have to understand that, like, it's their choice. Like, if you were pregnant, Hassan, which I don't think you are, and you didn't want the pregnancy, what would you say?
Orphanage.
What? So I'm assuming that you're pro-life. Am I right?
You're right.
You're right. I mean, like, so you're basically saying that, like,
What is pro-life?
pro-life is
Please
like
explain.
you basically think that it's killing a human because I mean there is some truth to it, right? There is a human, like, it will.
Lot.
Habibi, let me explain. Okay. So basically, what you're probably trying to say is what you probably agree with is like it's unnatural intervention into the human body, right? You're sticking a tube in. I won't get into details. Hassan.
I don't want to know
I
details.
don't think you want to know details.
I'm halal.
Right? It's against several religions, right? You're
Yeah, my religion.
you're from you follow Islam, right?
Yes,
So
sir.
Abrahamic
Abrahamic.
religions don't really like push the notion of abortion, right? It's also you're killing a child, man. It's like a
Exactly,
future
man.
human that like could grow.
It's okay.
Dude, I think you should
My baby.
drink the water. Please drink the water. But yeah, it's also against like several religions, my guy. So
You're right.
I kind of do understand what you're coming from.
You bet.
So anyways, since we got the basic idea of oh my
How long
goodness,
has
okay.
this thing been legal?
I mean, there's a lot of history to it. Can you not? There's a lot of history to it, man. Do you have time?
My mom kicked me out of the house.
Okay, that's
I
a
have
story
time.
for another
I
day.
have time.
I mean, so in Canada, abortion is legal at all stages of pregnancy, right? And is governed by the Canadian Health Act, right? And while some non-legal obstacles exist in the form of religions or just, you know, personal preference or personal choice, right? Canada's one of the only nations with no legal restriction on abortion, right? And it kind of varies from province to province as well. Regulations and accessibilities are different, right? Like Alberta might have different laws than Quebec does in terms of religion,
Yeah,
right?
you're right.
And it's also been performed for thousands of years. Abortion isn't anything new, right? So if we go back to 3,000 years ago, there's been ways that people have had abortions,
Not by
right?
the Arabs.
That's not by the Arabs, okay? So it's against Abrahamic religions. So you're right there. And yeah, Islam is anti-abortion, monotheistic, and I can't say that word. How do you say it? Abrahamic. Abrahamic religions are all anti-abortion. And I know you want more of a scientific stance on this, so like I'll tell you what I believe on it. Hassan, I know you're pro-life, but I have different values and beliefs than you, because it is kind of a controversial topic, right? So don't take this in any sort of manner that I'm trying to say to offend you, right?
It's okay,
We're trying to
that
be
should be
more
our
right than
rules.
you or correct than you, right?
That should be
I kind of am, but like, I'm just kidding. But like, I'm pro-choice because there's a possibility for people getting raped or the prospect of incest in some cases, which is disgusting, and I don't want to talk about it here.
I don't want to know.
But like, you have to understand that there's some scenarios where abortions are kind of needed, right? You also have to understand that if there's unwanted pregnancies where the mother and father are unable to support the child, it's much better for the child's sake if they aren't born, you know? So the mother and father can get into a better place. Because raising a child is difficult. People get messed up when they're not raised properly, right? And think about a 16-year-old girl who got raped. She won't be able to raise a child properly, right? So in that sort of case, I don't want to try to appeal to your emotions here. I'm trying to tell you just... I'm trying to tell you just in a straightforward way, right? Some people aren't able to support children, right? And people aren't that responsible. Yeah, I agree that you should take responsibility for your actions, right? But some people are not responsible. But yeah, that's basically what I believe about abortion.
So what do you think about Canada's legislation?
Well, before 1969, all forms of abortion were illegal in Canada, right? Because of like the more religious influence, right? And that was true for most of Europe and other places we consider first world countries, right? In most third world countries, abortion is either unregulated or it's illegal based on the larger influence that religion and everything has on it, right?
Yeah.
But like in terms of Canada's legislation, I kind of agree with it. Like, it's positive in a sense, you know? I agree with the stance that they're taking and how they made abortion something that's accessible to all people of all walks of life. And most of the time it's government funded as well, so it's not going to cost you as much to get an abortion, right? So it's available for the people who need it the most, you know? And I feel like people should be allowed to make choices that are the best for themselves and the potential child, right? It's much better to have an abortion and wait to have a child later in life when you're more settled than have a child and risk that child growing up in a household that's not maybe suited to have a child, right? And I'd say if I were going to make a legislation surrounding it, I'd have a little bit of pro-life in it, because I do agree that to some extent it is a murder of a child, right? But I don't consider a baby a child until they're past 6 months, because before then there's no, like, yeah, there's a heartbeat, there's stuff like that, but there's no conscious thought, right? And I don't know, it's kind of up to debate, like, when a baby actually becomes a human, because I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember anything before I was 4 years old, but you can't abort kids that are already born, and that's called murder.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say that abortion should be legal because it's a woman's choice and a father's choice of what they should do with the body, right? And yeah, it's murder of a child, but up to a certain extent, I don't consider that an actual child yet. So before 6 months, it's fine, right? And it should be accessible to everyone. And I'd say it should be free. Yeah, people should be responsible for themselves, but, you know, there's a lack of education sometimes, right? And then the people that need abortions the most are the people that are most high risk, right? Poorer families who don't take the same precautionary measures as richer ones are the ones that are unable to afford abortion. It just continues that cycle of poverty that repeats over and over again, right?
Yeah.
I'm just saying that if abortion is legal, it's safer for everyone, you know, because children aren't going to be raised in a household that doesn't want them or may not be able to provide for them, right? And women are not going to go into illegal abortion clinics to get an abortion where they could get an STD or some sort of infection, some sort of disease, and possibly even die, because abortion is kind of a dangerous thing if you don't know what you're doing, right? And I just think it's going to result in a happier and more healthy population. Do you agree?
No.
No?
Okay.
But, like, I mean, this is a controversial topic, right? So like, we all have our ideas with it.
Yeah. So we had a good conversation, and
What are you doing?
it's getting pretty late, and
What
I
are you
kind of
doing?
want to play Minecraft. I really
Bet.
want to play Minecraft.
Bet. Let's go.